Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart, which is at $94,000. Take a look over there at the stock market as it gets set to open up here in the next 3 minutes, along with precious metals like gold and silver, along with the US dollar currency index. Take a peek over there at any type of crypto news that's going on today. Kick off middle of the week, I guess. Any type of financial news going on out there. And then, of course, we wrap everything up by hanging out in the chat, fielding some questions, and hanging out with you guys. A little bit of housekeeping here real quick. Last stream, we went well past the hour, so I try to keep these things at an hour. We went an hour and a half last time. Then my internet went out at the very end of it, cutting it off quickly, and I waited to get back online, but the internet didn't come back for 5 hours, and even my cell phone service went out, so I had to drive to go make the posts on it. So there were 3 super chats at the end of that, and I'll get to those here in just a minute after we go through what's going on here in the market. Obviously, we've caught ourselves a little bit of a rally here. The stock market's going to be up this morning. We're going to have a pretty big pop over there in the indexes. The Russell is going to be at 1942, which is up 2.7%. The S&P is going to be up 2.5%. The NASDAQ up 2.6%. And the Dow up 2.6%. Wait, is that right? No. 2.5% for the S&P. 1.8% for the Dow. The Dow was up over 1,000 points yesterday, and it's going to open up over 700 points today, with the NASDAQ up over 3%, up 560 points as it gets ready to open here in 1 minute. Of course, this is coming off of yesterday. Trump, man, it's like in this environment, man, you know it could happen, and we've just talked about it in the last 2 videos that like the charts are so difficult because something could happen. Yesterday, Trump in a press conference said that these China tariffs will not stay. They will fall substantially. So the market, of course, rallied off of that, as you would expect it to do. And Bitcoin, of course, sitting at 94,000. You got XRP at 228. Trump also said, no, I'm not planning on firing Powell, which that's been all in the news. People have been all weird about that one too. But the main one being big walk back from Donald Trump on the China tariffs, which of course at this time right now has essentially created an embargo between the 2 countries, cutting off trade. So it sounds like the tone is softening. He says he doesn't plan on playing hardball with them. There'll be a good relationship with them. The 145% tariffs will not stick. They will be much lower than that. And of course, the market just absolutely loved that. And we would expect, I even said in yesterday's video, if something like that happened, you would expect the market to rally off of that, because these tariffs, they just can't stick. They just can't. It won't economically work. So we now have the U.S. stock market open. The S&P is up 130 points, which is 2.5%. The NASDAQ's up 570 points, which is 3.12%. The Dow's up 746 points, which is 1.9%. And the Russell is up 56 points, which is 3%, now at 1948, which is interesting because if you recall, a couple of weeks ago, I had a newsletter that used some AI in there. It was like 1950s, this big line in the sand. So it looks like we're dancing with that 1950. XRP at 2.29, $2.29. All right, are we getting our break happening in here, guys? It could be. So there's a lot of complications with how things can kind of pan out in here, and we'll talk about these things. Obviously, for the last several days, we've been talking a lot about the bullish divergences emerging down here at the bottom. It seemed like the bottom was in. The big complication is going to be what's it going to look like heading back up into these things. Original idea, right? Like if it just completely played out the way you would think it would play out, it's just that price would continue marching up till we eventually put in an ABC up kind of near the highs. Maybe not quite that high, but maybe you get as high as like 105 or something like that. We start putting in an ABC in there, and then finally we start trying to build the parabola, and then we end up going in there. That's the original idea of how this could play out. Problem is there's just so many variations of actually what can end up happening in here. And I'm still stuck with that on what those variations are going to look like in here and how it's going to get there. The big messaging just being like, it looks like we've printed the bottom, right? And that's consistent in the videos. It's what we're talking about. The challenge is what it's going to look like shifting its way back up, and it can make all this different types of variations. The cleanest one to me, the one that will just be clear as day, is if we do that. We just kind of keep marching our way back up, and then finally a very clean ABC gets printed up higher. But we've seen them do various forms of what they can do, and it's just going to have to kind of be remaining nimble to the idea that will happen. It seems very likely there's going to be one more scare, right? And of course, this is a great day to come on here and be like super hype, super YOLO, and everything is great and wonderful, and we're rallying, and that's all great. And that is great, right? It seems like we've printed the bottom, and I think that's just a sense of relief in itself. But typically, there's still going to be like this one more correction that happens without setting a new low, right? No new lows. But there's going to be this one more that just kind of spooks the market a little bit. And we're trying to figure out where that could happen at. And we're just kind of going into it on this channel of being like, that's eventually going to come, right? That eventually will happen. That's how I'm treating the market as it will happen. In 2023, we obviously did it way lower, right? We did one way down here before we finally got way up in there and did it. So maybe it pauses in here, and then we get kind of a bigger one a little bit higher. You can go back in here to 2020. You can see that still this ABC shows up in here. And right, this is more of a running flat style ABC correction that happens right in here. Over here, we get kind of more of a true ABC, right? See prices pop out of there. Same kind of thing, right? Here's your capitulation, right? Here's your fake out rally. 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 There's your capitulation. There's your capitulation. There's your capitulation. Prices rally up out of here, but still the ABC shows up low, right? We get a running flat in here. You get an ABC happening in here. Is this 2020? I think this is 2020. No, this is 2023. This is 2023. This is 2020. In that, you can see this is more of the crashing structure that happens right in here, where prices get back in here, but then it performs the crashing structure correction in here for it to then really start to rampage in there. And I think all these variations are still like totally valid and possible to be able to happen. The cleanest one that would just be awesome would just be if it was really easy and we just go print the ABC from higher, and then we break out above, hold on top of the highs, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parabola. That's it. Lights out. Game over. That's the end of the run right there. That would be very clean and very easy in there. But we know that a lot of variations can show up, and just to kind of be prepared for that. The nice thing is it does just seem the bottom has been printed. This was like textbook capitulation, right? It's got all phases of it, of the crashing structure, the fake out rally, and then the crash, right? And then our crash, and then our crash, right? And our crash. It's got all of them in there. So I'm very convinced that was the low. The big challenge is climbing the wall of worry and what that looks like. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. Not to sound, I don't know why my tone doesn't sound like excited or anything like that. I am. I just think, sentiment would get really rough if we were like that, or if we were like that, right? And so I want to make sure my words are just kind of, consistent in there and being like, I think this seems logical that it would look something like this, but to just still at the same time be prepared that there could be still this type of behavior happening in here, even though the bottom is already in, and to kind of keep that in mind. And I think it's reasonable to think any of them could pan out in there. And that's just what I want to, I don't know, I have that on there. Okay. So there you go. That's what I'm seeing over there for Bitcoin. As for XRP, nice to see it escape from here. Now the thing is just to try to see it continue marching its way up. Again, I also think it'll see the ABC come out of here. So I know I should be like super excited and be like, yeah, moon time, tariffs changes. But I did think the bottom was in. So it's not that surprising to see it go up, because the technicals were indicating that too. We were holding on top of that 50-week moving average, and everything was looking good. So it's like not that surprising. And the thing is being like, there's typically still one more scare and one more sentiment extreme in a moment, something like this, or in a moment, something like this, and they're all still just possible. So just kind of keeping that in mind. But man, what am I doing here? I keep doing this. I keep forgetting it. Happy Wednesday. Big green candles everywhere.
It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, my
Okay, there we go. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Markets in the Morning. If you could, hit the like button. It's the number one way to support the channel. I appreciate it. All right, there you go. Wow, we just saw Bitcoin jump $1,000 while I did that. Okay. It likes the frog. Very good. Very good. So there you go. That's thoughts on Bitcoin, right? This would be the ideal situation happening here, just for it to be very clean, very easy, but still keeping in mind, boy, it could be slop up in there, and I'm not fully certain on how that'll look in there. I do think if the low is in crashing structure, it's got it all. It's all beautiful. It's all wonderful. Just know there's lots of variations on what can happen as we try to work our way back up in there. But what typically happens, you could see in here on all these, right? Once you get near those 702 retracements, right? Popping out of those is a good thing. And usually, that's where things kind of stall and then things can get going. Now we're all doing all the things to try to work our way back up to that. And these are all the various forms we can take to try to get back to that retracement level, right? So we're not there yet. And we could get a couple of variations before we get there. So just kind of keeping that in mind. Otherwise, we got green all over the place. XRP 227.5. We'll see if this thing has the juice to keep on going in there. I still think, right, see the thing about ABCs installing out and things like that before it really gets ripping. Even here on this chart, I still see just more sideways kind of coming out of here. So just keeping that in mind. Again, all I'm doing is trying to be keeping time expectations chilled out. Because when prices go up in a straight line, a lot of times people's expectations become, this is now the new norm. That is new norm now. And it's not, right? This is a good move. This is a break away from the lows happening in here. That's great stuff. There's still just more chop to work its way back up, but this is all great stuff. Don't be fooled. One of the great things, of course, gold. It seems like gold has totally chilled out now after this has happened. Look at the Russell 1956. Wonderful. So gold, it's got like 5 waves within 5 waves within 5 waves. It's got them all. We look good on here. It looks like gold has paused, and that's just exactly what we need to see happening over here in the market. So I'll take all of this stuff off the screen real quick. We're going to come back to all these waves happening in here. So we've talked about this in Markets in the Morning a lot. We've talked about this in videos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then we could clearly see 5 waves taking place here within the last wave. And then if we go down to minuscule time frames, even smaller ones, we can see here in our 5th wave, right? In our 5th wave, we even have the final 5 waves in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you've got them all in there. It does seem like gold is now chilled out. That's absolutely desperately what we've needed. Whew. There you go. I see somebody saying 4-year cycle is over. I've been a proponent to say 4-year cycle is pretty much BS. It's all about other things going on in other markets. The 4-year cycle is a grift, in my opinion. So there you go. Gold, that's been an essential thing to see gold be able to stop in there. So it does appear that the peak of gold, for now at least, has been put in, and that is what we absolutely need. Misha Wilson says, hey, BCB, great content as always. How are we looking on our custom breadth indicator? Yeah, I've been paying attention really close to that. We haven't gotten it to fully break yet. On smaller time frames, it has started to open up. but you can get false signals thrown on the smaller time frames. Let me see. Indicators. One second. It takes a long time to load it. So I'll check on that again in a second. So, all right, there you go. Gold appears to have topped. $99.23, right? Broke below the low there from July of 2023. Dollar. This is all good stuff for crypto historically. The Russell 2000's back above 1950 as we kick off the day. The Russell is the best performing index of them. You got the NASDAQ not too far behind at 3.42, but you got the Russell up there at 3.5%. Of course, all this rallying taking place as Trump says that the tariffs are going to be knocked back on China. We'll see how long that ends up taking, but the entire stance of playing hardball against China appears to have waned at this point. Okay, there we go. Oh, is it really going to take that long to load every time I flip between different time frames? Oh, that's going to be annoying. Sorry, I'm trying to get the custom indicator up for the breadth. Okay, here we go. All right, so what you could see is we don't, on the daily time frame, we don't have the breadth opened up just yet. I would assume it would if it took out this high over here from March of 25. You can see over here on the 12-hour, it has not opened up yet. You can see on the 4-hour, the breadth has... Come on. Here's what I'm talking about. It's taking forever to load. We're going to wait. We're going to wait. It usually doesn't take this long. I don't know what's going on with TradingView right now. We got Russell at 1966. What a ripper. Gold pulling back hard. This is like exactly what you want to see. Gold falling, indexes flying. Exactly what you want to see. Still not loading. Okay, we'll move over here to SWI real quick. So we've been watching this one, right? Look at that. Great move. Great move on SWI happening in there. So this is one of the ones we're watching. This is one of the ones I'm definitely using as confluence for me. So I will get pretty concerned on the market when this market cap of SWI gets up here, as long as it does get way up there, especially if there's confluence of this happening with other things, like if XRP's market cap is hitting a 4.236 extension at the same time. But this is the first good move to see come out of SWI. Now, whether or not this is wave 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Still got to pull back for 4, then 5, right? And that's what this would be in here, right? This would be your wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So still there's going to be ups and downs. My thoughts are there's going to be lots of ups and downs moving our way up here. And I'm not sitting here saying SWI is the next best thing since sliced bread. It's just we can go through like every single one of these coins in here. And out of, I don't know how many are in this list, maybe 40 or 50. You're only going to find like 5 of them in here that are looking different than what everything else is looking, right? Like if you say, oh, this one looks strong and unique. Well, then if there's like 5 of them that look strong and unique, then you're going to find like 35 of them that look exactly like the rest, like all of them look exactly the same. And then you're going to have like 10 that just look weak. SWI is one of those ones in the 5 of being like showing more exceptional strength and seems to be giving more of a signal than what the rest of the market is. And also, if you remember with SWI actually was one of the first ones to go when the market took off late last year. So it's one of the reasons why we watch it. It's shown more strength, and it actually was a leading indicator coin from back in late 2024. All right, have you loaded yet? There you go. Okay, so there's the 4-hour time frame, right? So the problem with the 4-hour time frame is you can get false signals on here. That's the concern with 4 hours. You move over to 8 hours. Now we get to wait forever for this to load. So right, we're just jumping back for this signal thing in here until it will. There we go. So there's the 8 hour, right? So the 8 hour breadth indicator has flipped on over here, right? Not after not being flipped on since way back over here. So this is interesting, right? But the problem is we want to see it flip on higher time frames, which we don't have yet. So you don't have it on the 12 or the 1 day yet. If you get the 1 day time frame, if it flips on, or even if it just flickers on the 1 day time frame, it has never given false signals. So you can get some false signals in here on these time frames, like you got right here, right? So that's what you have to be kind of mindful about on these smaller time frames, that you can get a false signal coming in here. But we're starting to see it wake up, right? You're seeing it on the 4 and the 8. Next is going to be on the 12. And then if we get it on the daily, there's never been a false signal on the daily. So that's kind of where we're at. We're starting. We've got a couple of them. We still need to make it to a couple more. As long as we get to the daily time frame and the daily time frame flips on, boom. But we're not there yet. However, we just saw gold reverse, and we see the indexes rallying, the Russell rallying really hard. So this is good. Back to what I was talking about. What was I talking about? We were talking about SUI, weren't we? Where is it? Right here. Right. Anyway, yeah. SUI was a leader last time. I'm keeping an eye on it because it still continued to show strength throughout all of that. Would still expect more corrections, and it's definitely, even in something that was as epic as this, look at all these corrections. These are not baby corrections. They take place constantly. Super tons of volatility. Look at that. That's negative 27% happening in there. You're going to expect it. That's just what's going to happen over and over and over again as it continues marching up, right? These are not tiny percentages. This market is the most volatile market in the world, and it's not intended for crybabies. As digital asset investor says, put your big boy pants on. That's what you have to be in this place, because this is not for your 60-40 portfolio people. It's always funny. The 60-40 portfolio people always come in here and they're like, I'm buying meme coins. Okay. All right. So there you go. Looking good, right? These are things we want to see. There's small openings on the breadth indicator, and I'm not going to bring that up. I'm not going to put that in a YouTube video yet. Somebody asked about it, but I'm not going to put it in a YouTube video until it does it on the daily time frame. If it does it on the daily time frame, there's no false signals on the daily time frame, so I have zero problem talking about it. But I mean, I guess you can kind of sit back and wait and say, oh, snap. If I post something about it on Twitter, or if I bring it up in a YouTube video, it's like, dude, it hit. That's amazing. So that's still what we're kind of waiting on. We're moving up the time frames. We're shifting our way up, but we still want to get all the way up to the daily. So we're still waiting on the 12-hour to trigger, and then we're still waiting on the daily to trigger. But as you can clearly see in here, these are good signs, right? To see these things show up in here. And we noticed this here just in the last several days by looking at the 2-day and the 3-day time frame, all the bullish divergences that were showing up. And that's what's been in the titles of the videos and the topics of discussion. I think the challenging part right now is just kind of the discussion that took place in yesterday's video. I do think there's going to be a correction in here. I do think it'll scare the poop out of participants in the market for some reason. Maybe there's a narrative or something like that. I don't think we're setting new lows. I think the lows are in. The just challenges the varieties and shapes that they can take in here, and that'll be the thing we're at. So good luck to anybody day trading this. I think it's proven very difficult for those who are trying to day trade, for sure. I've been seeing it on Twitter too, people making their trades, and it's just going the opposite way of what they're thinking. But anyway, there you go. 1968 for the Russell, very good. Dow up 1,000 points, NASDAQ up 700. I guess we can talk about this too, right? So the thing is too, like, we could get a rally out of this, right? We could get a rally out of that to get to this, and then when this ABC shows up, that ends up being something along the lines of what happens with the Dow, where that's how that move happens in there, and our ABC all takes place during something like that happening for the Dow, and then we rally up and do our thing from there. And so that's part of it too. On the backdrop of it, there's still that concern out there that we could see some scary things come from the stock market yet, and our narrative hasn't fully changed yet. It's improved, but it hasn't fully changed. But I think it's the hard thing about what we're in right now is it's going to be constant catalysts. And I was messaging with Eric Martinson the other day, and I was telling him, I'm fully aware we're in a market right now that can be completely influenced by a tweet and by a narrative change, and it drives me crazy. Like we've talked about over here, like I brought up in yesterday's video, all of this stuff, and that, here's the break. It's coming off of the change in rhetoric towards China tariffs. We are in an environment right now where narratives can completely shift the market. And so, it's going to be real hard for me guessing what these things are going to do along the way, and except for me to go into it with the expectations that there's going to be some kind of correction that does show up at some point, but I'm not going to be scared of the correction. I'm going to embrace it. Okay. There we go. YouTube crashed. It's back up now. Okay. There we go. Anyway, leaders of the morning are Arrow, SUI, Chainlink, and then XRP is there at 227. So, okay. Gold hammered. Again, these are just things we want to see, man. I can't tell you how relieving it is to see that over there on gold. So you got the technical things that you want too, right? You see stocks rallying. You see the Russell rallying. You see gold getting slammed. All good. All good. And then, of course, the dollar's way low. So things look good. Just, that only thing I keep reiterating is there's going to be a lot of chop. There's going to be a lot of chop, but the bottoms, my thoughts are the bottoms in. So, all right, there you go. Move over to news going on out there in stocks. Dow futures rally 700 points after Trump softens his stance on Powell and China tariffs. Trump says he has no intention of firing Fed Chair Powell. 10-year Treasury yield dips after Trump backtracks plans to axe Fed Chair. There you go. IMF forecast U.S. fiscal deficit will dip in 2025 thanks to higher tariff revenue. Okay. Boeing. Okay. Crypto drainers now sold as easy-to-use malware at IT industry fairs. Bitcoin analysts target 95K as Trump's trade war cools. Do Bitcoin futures agree? Former Love Island stars tips on how to go viral in crypto. Okay. A guide to crypto trading bots, analyzing strategies and performance, cheaper, faster, riskier, the rise of DeepSeek and security concerns. Bitcoin breaks down trying to spike toward 92.6K, but who's behind the price momentum? DeFi Development Corp adds $11.5 million of Solana. Shares jump 12%. Institutional demand could push Bitcoin past 200K in 2025. I don't think so. Pure signals SEC reorientation under new chair Paul Atkins. Paul Atkins has been confirmed. We'll see if something comes out about that in XRP pretty soon. Ripple. U.S. judge transfers Binance lawsuit to Florida, citing first to file rule. Okay, we made it through the news, and I didn't. That was nice. So, okay, there you go. I'm a half an hour into this thing. Plenty of green throughout the market. I will do better than I have the last couple of weeks. Here we go. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, my dude.
All right. So I think we've covered everything. We've talked about stuff about, the rally. Of course, this is happening as the Trump rhetoric changes on tariffs. Markets rip. There's still probably a correction to come out of here. Where it's going to take place from, it's a pretty difficult guess to happen in here. We do see rallies happening throughout the market. You see SUI really getting its way up there. XRP still teasing around with this 225. It's gotten above this height over here at 224. So we'll see how that pans out throughout the rest of the day. Stock indexes are absolutely ripping to the upside. Dow's up almost 1,000 points. The Russell is up 1960, which is up 3.69%. And gold appears to have topped. Thank goodness. So, okay. Let me go ahead and catch up on a couple of super chats from last week. Like I mentioned, we went an hour and a half. I do try to keep these right at an hour. We went way past it, and just my internet crashed and my cell phone service went out. And so let's go ahead and get those three. Black Cat had said, could we once a week vote for you to do a deep dive on a crypto, or is it too much? We just trust you. The problem is I don't really like doing a lot of different altcoins. The problem is we do these live streams, and then those altcoins get asked about nonstop. One of the I've talked about Cardano and how I like Cardano. Now, I can't stop getting questions about Cardano. People are just like losing their mind. They have no conviction in what they're doing. They should totally sell their Cardano. They shouldn't be in it. And I get asked about it nonstop. So that's the problem. I don't like. I don't like worry warts constantly hitting me up about coins if it gets covered. And so if it gets covered, and if I say anything about it, hey, it looks pretty good, boom, I will get messages about it for months on end, and I just don't want that. So that's kind of my problem. There's certain people ruin it for everybody else, and that's the reason why I don't do it. XRPG said Sologenic Solotex Texture Capital ? Don't know what that means, brother. Those were last week. No idea what that means, but thank you. Stephen Edinburgh says, I'm still learning TA, but would like to understand Confluence and economics more. Can you recommend people to follow online, etc.? Member since 2023. It's more of like a plethora, but the problem the true problem when you follow, you kind of have to discover them on your own. But you're going to find so many conflicting opinions, and most of it's noise. You just get a tremendous amount of noise that happens out there. So I don't really know if I have recommendations for you for economics. If you want to like Fed stuff, like Danielle DiMartino Booth's a good follow to like kind of have an idea of what the Fed is thinking. But I think the way I like to do it is like I'll go find somebody that I think says something kind of smart, and then I'll go digging through who they're following, and take a peek at the other people that they're following and see if there's anything good in there. Cameron Vaughn says, thank you very much. He says, what's your thoughts on the Russell? Right now, the Russell is at a pretty interesting level. So we'll see if it's able to crack through this previous low. So it looks like the Dow is doing well. We'll see if the Russell can get through these levels right in here. So this was where the big break. The interesting thing too, like I've been looking at in here, is like obviously the Russell's had much better rebounding happening over in here than the other indexes have. Oh my gosh, is it just trading view? Look at the buy volume that happened there at that low, along with the monthly chart. So we'll see how this monthly ends in here. And if it closes green, I'm not sure what I'll think about that. I'll have to kind of think about that for a minute. But it's obviously had a decent reaction here, and it's almost taken back the entire Trump tariff thing. Right, so this is where the tariff takes place from. It happens right in here. This causes support breakdown. So right now, let's try to see, can you go regain these supports, right? Get above 2,000. We'll see. A concern I do have still just is that whether or not this Dow is going to come down one more time, and would it bring the Russell with it right away? I know that we see a ricochet of green and we think, oh, immediate rebound, we're on our way, everything's going to rip and roar. It's just not typically how it happens. Even if it comes up here, it could be like one of these. Then we go, right? So hard to get super, super excited on what's happening in markets at this exact time. Could be a minute. And I think Apple will go lower, and that's one of the things too. Apple, right? So I think Apple like has a pretty clear top, and so I think Apple could potentially come as low as like 140, 150. in that area, 140 to 150. Not necessarily that everything will, but that Apple will. And, then we would be playing a retracement in here. And so this is where I think all the excitement of the market happens all throughout in here. And so I'm not sure if we're there yet. And so if we, start ABCing from here, right? And if it starts doing like here, well then, okay, maybe we're already in it. But I'm not fully convinced that it is. I think Bitcoin's low is in. I think the crypto market's low is in. I'm not sure Apple is. And I don't know what impact that'll put on the other stocks. Dean, due to XRP's new low, has your fib extension changed? No. Here you go. There you go. So the interesting thing, of course, has been that even these weekly candles have still continued to hold the weekly candle closes from back in 2017 and 2018. We still have not breached a weekly candle close below there. But no, it does not change anything of here. In the event that this thing rallies up and goes, that's gonna be the number, guys. I'm telling you, man, it's gonna irritate a lot of people. I know how this market works. The euphoria will be so strong and so wild. I'll publicly state it and say, all right, that's it, man. I just sold a massive chunk. I'm mostly out. And everybody will do everything they can to discredit me. Here's how many times he's been wrong. Here's why he's going to be wrong again. Can't trust anything he says, blah, blah, blah. Right? When we get into these environments, because I've been in these environments before, and that's what ends up happening, right? We know that from just last year, right? In March and April of 2024, when we just did a 702 retracement on the altcoin market cap. It was like a coordinated effort to like crap on me. It was wild. So this is what will happen. This is the area. Nothing will change. That's still $7, $8, $9, $10. That area right there, main target. I'll hold on to some. My thoughts are, I do think the stuff that I do hold will crash, but I'll hold it just in case, right? Just in case I'm wrong. But the majority will be like over right there, which is that $7, $8, $9, $10 area. So no, nothing happening here changes any of that. Bulldog 589 gifted 5 BCB memberships. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, man. Michelle, didn't mean to stop the whole show. Thanks. No problem. Thank you. Mr. Arnold, tops in for gold. JP Morgan needs retail to hold the bag. I'm not convinced retail really bought a lot of that, guys. Like I mentioned, I watch a lot of coin stuff on YouTube. And I always say this too, like, I'm just so appreciative that I get to be a part of your day. It is absolutely insane that 2,800 people are in here watching this show on a Wednesday morning, and that I'm part of your day. I do not take that for granted. It's an honor to be that, because I watch YouTube too. I have the shows that I like to watch. I have the YouTubers that I like to watch, and I like to watch coin people and tornado people and gardening people. And like, dude, I love to jump into their live streams and do a donation, and it's probably the same too. Cause I give a donation, right? I give $20 and I'm like, hey, huge fan. Right. And they're like, oh, blockchain backer, thank you very much. And they move on to the next one. I'm like, I'm sure that happens with me too. When you guys super chat. I'm sorry if I gloss over it. I don't mean to. I don't know why I'm sidetracked. What was the question? Oh yeah. I watch a lot of coin videos, right? And coin shop videos. And people are just selling, man. They say that silver demand is dead. Nobody's buying silver. That's crazy. Nobody's flying in. Nobody's flying in to buy. The selling of gold by retail has been astronomical. They have started to show a little bit more buying. What I've heard is like in between the $2,000 to $3,000 price level, retail had no interest. They were just coming in selling. That's all they were doing. There's been a little bit more interest as it's gotten above 3,000, probably because it's making all the headlines. But it's been way more even rather than it just being absolute massive net selling of gold by retail. It's been more kind of even of selling and buying up in these prices where we're at right now. So, and I'm not convinced that gold is like permanently topped. I think we've just actually finally found a new trading range that we're probably going to be stuck in for quite a while. I don't think it's crashed into the ground. I doubt it'll go below 2,700, but we don't need it to crash for markets to rally. We just need it to stop, and I think it has stopped now. Gene Carl Phillies, does it concern you that the MACD for the weekly XRP is bearish? No, because you could do this. You could just do this in a correction, right? If we didn't have this bigger context that we're looking at, in here, maybe, but no, right? And it's held up better than any asset in the crypto market, than anything. That's why it's hated so much. XRP has literally been the best asset of the last year. And I showed that, I think, in Markets in the Morning last week, or did it in a video where we showed for the last 1 year, best performer. And even during this correction that we've had in here, best performer. Which I'll toss a bone to the Stellar Lumens people. That one's held up relatively well too. I don't know much Stellar Lumens. Show me a Stellar Lumens that isn't a Stellar Lumens holder that isn't an XRP holder, and it'll be like seeing a real life unicorn. They don't exist. They're all XRP holders, but but it's held up well too. That's likely because it's the same people, right? This is just held up. Oh, I'm sorry. Member for 7 months says, and that's his name. Oh, I'm sorry. I see a lot of TA on X saying this feels like the 2017 to 2018 rally. Do you think the same? Well, I'm not sure what they're saying when they're, so I don't know what you're meaning when you say 2017 to 2018 rally, if you're talking about specific time in Bitcoin or in the crypto market. No, nothing about this has resembled 2017. Nothing about this has resembled 2013, 2017, or 2021. We are literally navigating uncharted waters, which we've been saying for like a year and a half. John D, thank you for being a member for 7 months. Oh, I'm sorry. John D says, paying my dues, and thank you. Thank you very much, John. Ethan Davis, do you think things are drying out long enough for Ethereum to come along for the ride? Ethereum is just a head scratcher, guys. Oh my gosh, Ethereum. And so here's F dominance. I think the big question is, does Ethereum dominance have the juice to be able to do anything more than get back in here? I think it'll get there. I think it'll get there. violently and aggressively. But I don't know if it's going to get more than that. And so if Bitcoin's only going to go to like 125K, right? I don't know. I don't know how high F could go. Some of the things like just in this market, like we're seeing the evidence in here, but I think we're seeing the evidence in the market of the extreme separation of strength in the market versus everybody else who is just following along with each other, and then like the weak ones. And that there's not many in here that are showing like extra strength, right? Ethereum has been so weak, it's been weaker than the average, right? It's been weaker than the average coin. Like Total 2 hasn't even, like Total 2, which is the entire altcoin market, including Ethereum, and Ethereum being the number one contributor of that, Total 2 has not even breached the lows from last year, whereas Ethereum has just slammed through them. I do think it's going to be very similar to what we saw in 2021, where there's going to be some coins that are capable of doing things like this, and the vast majority of the market will not. And I think trying to look for the confluence happening within the weaker ones or within the mid-pack ones, I don't think the answers are going to come from there. I think it's going to be focusing on the things that are the leaders. Things like BNB or Tron or XRP or SUI. I think those are going to be the things that actually give the answers on the market, especially if like they're hitting particular levels and Bitcoin's doing something very familiar that we're used to. Like if Bitcoin, like if SUI and XRP are hitting like 4.236 extensions during a moment just like that, right? Then this thing's probably not going to be something to pay attention to. If they're kind of like not there, no one's really gotten there, but like maybe they've kind of squeaked through the highs, but nobody's really hitting extensions yet, then maybe we'll get to see the things that we've seen throughout past market cycles that we saw in 2017 and in 2021, where like we see the whole market rally into that moment, then it's lights out, game over, and then we're done. But we're not there yet. But I think that the major confluence of the market is going to come from the people who are showing the exceptional strength right now. And I think those are your SUIs, your XRPs, Trons, Binance coins. And I don't think the Ethereum price chart is giving enough clue to say that it's going to provide a signal of what the market is doing. At least I don't see it. I think it'll rally aggressively, but how much juice it has in it, I'm not sure. It's been the fundamentals of Ethereum are the best fundamentals in the market. It's insane. This is crazy. I know the audience I'm speaking to right now, right? I got a lot of XRP people watching this, and they all hate, not they all, but a lot of people hate Ethereum. So I recognize the audience I'm talking to who have no sympathy to that. But the reality is the fundamentals of Ethereum are very strong. So it's really crazy. Thank you, Ethan. JJ Jacob, member for 22 months, says, isn't it odd that Bitcoin, considering it does a 4.236 of the rally prior to capitulation, equals 123K, has already done 40% of the move? Judging by alts, Bitcoin should be at 85K. Wait, what? I'm not sure how you're coming to the conclusion that Bitcoin should be at 85K. JB Estrada says, BCB, what are your thoughts on the others chart? I don't have any thoughts on it. Like, we covered it last week on it being like, has there ever been a case in which something like that can happen on a chart? Hold on. I'm set myself up for this. Or something can poke above the high, but still pull deep down into the correction from the past, right? So this is like Bitcoin getting out of there, right? Gets up, big correction, gets up, big correction, but still pulls back down in here. Whereas like the prior ones, right? What were they all doing? They were all kind of back testing previous support levels. This one did not, though. This one goes real deep in there, right? I think that's kind of got to be the thought on here. Unless, right, if like worst case scenario, right, you see SWI going to like a 4.236 extension, you see XRP going to a 4.236 extension, they're happening at the same time. And if others has only like come back to right here on something like that, then it like sounds off sirens. It sounds off alarms of being like, yo, watch out, watch out. Hard to know right now. Can you do this kind of stuff back at peaks? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's your correction, right? Then do you have another 5 waves to go beyond that? Possibly, but it would have to be like ridiculously aggressive. Unconvinced. We've got to see a lot more in this market right now. And if it happens at the same time as something like SWI, I do think that's coming. Like, I think that's coming. We'll just see how the rest of the market does at the exact same time. And whether the others are capable of following along. It's just, it's very similar to like what we saw in 2021, where there's just a handful that are showing exceptional strength versus the rest of the market. We're in that kind of environment again. And I'm unbelievably grateful that the one that has shown the most strength has been XRP. And that's not an opinion, that's a fact. So. Okay, I have to address something that didn't show up in here. Hold on. There's been like, okay, who gifted all the memberships? YouTube is so broken that when you do that, it doesn't show up in here. Who did it? Edward Lang, thank you. Insane. There's 110 gifted memberships today. Marty Robb says, I've been dodging the free memberships like Neo dodges bullets. 110. Like over 3% of the people have gotten free memberships today. Edward, thank you. Was it just Edward? Did Edward give out 100 of them? Jeez. And then Edward's super chatting. Oh, there we go. There's Edward. Yeah, I see one for Edward for 50. There was another 50 somewhere. Who else did the other 50? Edward did both of them. Edward, thank you. Crazy. All right, let me keep going. We're 6 minutes away from an hour. Oh, there it is. Edward gifted 50. Yeah, man. Ethan Davis, going back to gold, what was said about people not FOMO buying it at the price it's at? Is that due to a different crowd that participates in gold? I think one of the reasons why people don't FOMO into gold quite the same is due to premiums. If you buy like a 1/10 ounce piece of gold, you're going to pay a pretty big premium. You're going to pay like a 15% premium, right? So if gold's $3,400 an ounce and you want to buy 1/10, well, you're not going to pay $340. You're going to pay like $400, something crazy. So it's real hard to buy like little fragments of it for retail, right? So gold's kind of one of those more premium things where it's not everybody can participate in that. If you want to buy a half an ounce, you're still going to pay a 5 or 6% premium to buy it. And you're still looking at like $1,800 for a half an ounce of gold. So it's like it's a harder for retail to get into that. Retail can much easier get into silver, right? Where an ounce is only 30, 35 bucks. So that one they can play in a whole lot more. And yeah. So it's a little bit of a different crowd. I just don't think people can afford it, frankly. Because the most cost-effective way to buy gold is 1 ounce at a time, which means $3,400. Jose M. Reyes, love the work. Random question: is it barbecue season yet for you? When Moon, thank you very much. Very generous. Is it barbecue? I frequently just barbecue regularly, but I haven't smoked anything in a long time. I did burgers last week. I think I did chicken wings last week too. Probably even steaks last week. Those are just in the regular rotation though, so that's nothing new. I can do that in the middle of winter, spring, summer, fall. All normal stuff. Thank you very much. Phil Walker, crypto correlation to M2 lag is strong. Most of the world has been printing. Looks like enough to get to the next leg when the Fed joins the printing party. Could we see another double top like the 2021 bull run? So everybody talks about this M2 money supply thing, but what I always notice about the chart, they always start the chart right here. To show this huge correlation that happens and says that it follows it, right? You guys ever seen these things on Twitter or whatever? It always starts right here. This is the chart you always see, and then it shows you the M2 money supply overlaid on it with like a 90-day lag or something like that, and that's what it looks like, right? Why don't they ever show what's going on over here? I'd like to see this. Show me that part. What does that look like? Sell me on it, right? Sell me on it by showing the whole chart, but nobody ever does. They always focus on this part right here. Show me all this stuff. Let me see that. Phil, thank you. It's very generous. I'm not sure. Like, I see that. I obviously see that stuff, right, on Twitter and whatnot. But I don't know, like, if the data goes like, okay, cool, yeah, we found it, that it looks very similar to this if we had this lag right here, and this is what the M2 money supply has done here. And we've done some cool overlaying by adding 90 or 100-day lags or something like that. We've made it look like this. But is that true to way back here? Because I've never seen the charts go way back there. Yeah. Nabil Breda says it's the only part that correlates, and that's why. And that's what I'm getting at. Is that the reason why? Is that the only reason we see this part right here? Because if we go back over here, it doesn't look anything like that. Is that why it's like that? It's always zoomed in on this part right here. And there we go. There's the other Edward Lang one with 50 BCP memberships. I don't know why I didn't see those the first time I was going through. Thank you very much. Edward, you're crazy. And the super chats too. I see another super chat from you in a second. But JB says, hey, BCB, do you think on May 7th, when Coinbase will finally launch perpetual trading for US, could be some sort of event or catalyst? No, I think the macro events are way bigger. Everything going on macro-wise is way bigger. I mean, good question, but I think everything is just correlating to what's happening with macro. Right. We're finally seeing a pullback in gold. And the indexes are ripping. And Edward, man, you got a lot of likes on these things too, Edward. He says, thank you for your fractals and squiggles. They are gold. Thank you. Edward was very generous today, man. Thank you. Jeez. Ryan on crypto says gold is printing a bearish shooting star on the weekly. Yeah, gold. It looks like that was it. It looks like that was it. And we got all of our waves. All right, these will be the areas to watch for in here. Not necessarily that it goes in a straight line, just that we can knock that off. And that's all it takes for crypto to do well, right? Even in this one right in here, crypto ripped all throughout that stuff. And even in here, the entire 2021 bull run of crypto is that. So it's not like we're sitting here looking for gold to go Doomtown. It's not what we're looking for. You could just have something like that. And that's the whole 2021 bull run, ladies and gentlemen. There's August of 2020. There's April of 2021. That's the top of Bitcoin right there. The entire Bitcoin bull run runs in here. That's your bull run. So we're not looking for gold to like die. It's just stop. Stop. Knock it off. Crypto Keeper asks the same question. Says, what's your take on Bitcoin lagging behind global liquidity when you overlay the two charts? Liquidity is way up. How do we make that chart, guys? How do we make this chart that they're using? Let's build it. This chart that everybody asks about. How do we make this thing? Indicator? Where is it at? Okay, so how many days do I need to offset it by? 57. Okay, we'll get rid of my squigglies. Okay, so this is the chart everyone keeps asking about. Everybody asks me, what are your thoughts on it? I don't have any thoughts on it. I mean, I've clearly seen this on Twitter. This is what people are doing. I think we need to scoot it over a little bit more. How many more days? 28th. We'll give it like 80 days. No, let's do 75. How's that? All right, I like that. Okay, there you go. Right, so this is the chart everybody asks about. How do you feel about the money supply? Thingamadabi. All right, let's go back and look. I don't know. I'm gonna play with this. I'm gonna play with this off chart, off stream. I'm gonna try to pick holes in it. Or not. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know. I'll play with it, guys. I don't have an opinion on it, but this is why I was critical of it, because this is what it always looks like. This is all they ever show on Twitter. Look at these guys. It means we go to moon. It's like, yeah, okay, well, what about all that? And you could see there's some weird stuff in here. You could see Bitcoin goes up here while this is going down here, right? You can see that this is clearly growing here. There's a divergence in between these two, right? You can see that this continues to rise here, while this reduces here, and then suddenly that turns over, and that keeps going down, right? And that never catches that bid, right? So Bitcoin never catches this thing to here before that happens. Bitcoin just kept going down, down, while that went up. This went up and down. Bitcoin went down, then down. And then right here, Bitcoin went up while M2 went down. So I don't know. I'll play with it off stream. Interesting. Lord Matty, member for 27 months. I shorted gold at 3,200. It's been a painful week, but I might soon be in profit. Enough to buy a Nintendo Switch for the kids, I hope. All right. Thank you, brother. Member for 27 months. Good luck. I think we're all cheering for gold to go down at this point. Or at least stop. Crypto Keeper then says, well, you can ignore my previous question. Obviously, I went into full detail on it. ABCB, Cody, Breams, ABCB, I'm just popping in to support and have a good day. Man, thank you. Just a kind comment. I appreciate it. Obscure Warrior, do you think microcaps will pump or most sideways through the pumps of stronger ones? Can you elaborate more on separation of strength? Separation of strength. I don't know if microcaps will. I mean, maybe. The big question is this end with what most cycles end with, okay? Most bubbles come to a conclusion with stupidity. Absolute idiocy, irrational exuberance, and dummies. And where things move and prices go up on things that shouldn't go up. Micro caps, I don't know. And are we talking stocks? Are we talking cryptos? Oh, you're probably talking cryptos. Separation of strength. Okay. Like an example would be like total 3. Okay. So total 3 pulls below the March high of last year. But still definitely holding well above the low of August of last year, right? So hanging out in here. So something like Stellar Lumens, right? Here's the high of July of 2023. Here's the high of March of 2024, which is right here. It's still well above that, right? So that's showing a little bit more strength. XRP, there's March of 2024, like way above it, right? Way above. So it's showing exceptional strength compared to market, right? But like, let's go to something like flow. Here's March of 2024. Here's August of 2024. Flow is way below August, right? That's August. It's like being right here. It's like exceptional weakness, right? Oops. EGLD, right? Multiverse X, I think is what that is. Here's August of 2024. Well below August of 2024 down in here, right? But then you go to other stuff, right? So like so those are like exceptionally weak compared to the market, right? So we started by showing stellar lumens and XRP, which are exceptionally strong versus like total 3, right? And then you show a couple of them that are exceptionally weak that are like below here. But then most of the pack is like this, Ondo, right? Here's August of 2024, right? This is like total 3, right? It still hasn't taken out those lows. It's just pulled back in here and it looks just really like total 3 does. Doge, same story, right? Hasn't taken out August of 2024, but still below the high of March of 2024. I don't even know. How's Filecoin? Weak. Right? Monero is one of the ones that's strong, right? So if you just go throughout the whole market, like, so what I'm saying here is you go throughout all of these in here, you're going to find things that just look like total 3. Like a lot of them are just doing exactly what total 3 is doing. They're just acting exactly like the market. There's nothing special about them. They're just humming along with the crypto market, not doing anything spectacular. Then there's some stuff that's like exceptionally weak. And then there's some stuff that's really strong, right? And like Monero's one of those ones. I haven't included that one. Monero's done well during all of this. Stellar Lumens has, HBAR's borderline, but it has done well, holding up still, percentage-wise still up, right? It's probably above its March high. Let's go look at it. Close, right? Which I don't know if you count that. That was like that fake thing. Maybe the HBAR Foundation like made up some nonsense about BlackRock or something like that. But there's March, right? So it's held up well. So like HBAR, Stellar Lumens, Monero, XRP, right? Those are your like stronger ones. There's more on the list, BNB, but then you have so much of your market that just looks exactly like this, and then you have part of your market that looks like this. I don't know if you're going to get any alpha on anything that's looking like that, right? Or if you're going to get any alpha on anything that's looking like that. I think the things to watch and pay attention to are probably the things that are kind of the stronger ones. Because I think most of this market is going to do nothing more than retrace. And I don't know if you're going to find signal in looking at those ones for their retraces, because I think their retraces will all be different. Some will be the 386, 382, the 50, the 618, 702, 786. But it's hard to know, oh, this one's hitting 382, oh, this one's hitting 5, oh, this one's hitting 618. It's more like, hey, like, are the leaders hitting their targets all at the same time? And then all the retrace ones are just hitting their retraces at the same time. So I don't know if there's much to draw from anything that isn't showing strength to be like, this is the one to kind of pay attention to. Okay, I gotta get going, guys. We're at an hour and 15 minutes. I don't want to like lose internet again. Right? I want to push my luck. Psychotherapy menu. Okay, thank you, man. Gifted a PCB membership. Thank you. Minar Croce BCB, First Ledger. Do you still play there? I haven't, but I'll answer that. Can I ask which coins you made 1,000x on there and what your strategy is now? Well, it's not that I had made 1,000x on anything in particular. It was just repeating the same formula over and over and over and over and over again. I traded at a minimum 500 different coins on there. At a minimum, it was 500. It was like 40 or 50 a day, and that went on for like a month. Right now, I'm not trading on there because one, I haven't. Every now and then, I'll go check it out and kind of play with it and watch it and see how it's doing to see like is anything running and see if you can catch some runners, or is it just all like 100% rug pulls? You have to assume 90% of it is rug pulls, but then you kind of figure out a strategy on being like, all right, well, I can weed out most of the rug pulls. Like I can weed out like 80% of them to where like if I buy 5 coins, only 3 of them are going to be rug pulls. And I know that sounds crazy to think you're going to get rug pulled on 3 out of 5. But that's just if you repeat the same strategy over and over and over again, well, winning on those 2 out of the 5 with how high they run, 400, 500% in a matter of an hour, it makes up for those losses. And you just, it's just like saying, if you flip a coin, right? Let's play a game where you flip a coin. And every time you get heads, I'll pay you $2. But every time it lands on tails, you pay me $1. Would you play that game all day long? If I flip it and it lands on heads, you get $2. And if it lands on tails, I get $1. Of course, you would play that game all day because the law of large numbers would say that you would collect more dollars from me than you would have to pay me. That's the same strategy. That's how it works with the meme coin stuff. Once you can figure out how to effectively remove most of the rug pulls, you're never going to be able to completely not get rug pulled. You're going to get rug pulled. It's totally part of the game and how it works. But if you can remove most of them. The problem is you have to wait until the environment is like favorable for it. And there has to be like optimism, people willing to take risk. Otherwise, it's like 99% of them are rug pulls. And so you don't want to be playing when it's like a totally PvP environment where like no new money is coming in, no new participants are coming in. It's everybody competing over the small amount of money and 99% are rug pulls. It's more like when the environment is more exciting and people are coming in and only 90% of them are rug pulls because then 1 out of 10 of them are big runners. And so it hasn't been that environment while the market's been down. The market kind of has to turn back up and get more exciting again for that type of environment to return. That may come back soon, so I'll start paying attention to it again to see if it starts looking like that. But over the last couple of months, I just haven't been playing in it because that's just been the environment it's in. It's been a PvP nasty world, and so I just haven't had interest in it. But I definitely have no problem going back to it if the environment improves. And I was even messaging someone about that the other day. Gator being like, I look forward to that time returning because it will. It'll come back. And just being ready for it when it does. But right now it hasn't been. But it was never about like, yeah, I did have like 1 or 2 coins where I hit it really big on them, really big. But the entire account growing was by effectively having a strategy and implementing it hundreds of times. Over and over and over again. Rug pulled once, lose everything, 4x on the next one. Rug pulled 2 times, 5x on the next one. And having that just continuously go and just like flipping a coin, getting $2 or paying $1, just playing it like that. Adam Moore, member for 16 months. Last couple of years, you've shown not to trust the news or emotions. Don't panic at lows and don't be scared to take profit at highs. Patience is key. Thanks, BCB. Thank you very much, Adam. For 16 months, man. Yeah, and this environment has been crazy. Like these last couple of months, and especially all this tariff stuff. This has been a wild one because tariffs are real, and this isn't like news. This is real. So it's been crazy, but it's been part of it has been to not trust it that it can't stay. And I don't know whether that's good or bad that I have so much experience in this field to like recognize, holy cow, this is really bad. Or is it a strength that I could recognize, holy cow, this is really bad. There's no way it can stick. There's no way they can keep it like this because it can't happen. It's too bad. They can't keep it. And so is that a strength or a weakness? We'll find out eventually. But it just can't stick. And I think Trump reiterated that. Trump acknowledged that yesterday. These 145% tariffs are not going to stick. So, all right. We made it, guys. An hour and 20 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping things up. You guys can check out the recent newsletter in there, and I talk a lot about that. Experience in this stuff, show screenshots of things like duties and taxes and what that looks like, and how the crypto structures kind of start signaling these things, just like we've talked about over these last weeks, that this was like our FTX collapse happening there. I even tweeted it last week, too, being like, this reminds me a lot of what it was like with the FTX collapse. Nobody could see their way out of it. Doomers were having the time of their life over there on Twitter. Peter Schiff was the main character. It just doesn't seem like it can stick like this. So, so far, so good. Things are looking all right. And, we saw a lot of those confluences showing up there in the crypto market at the same time. So check this out over here at blockchainbacker.substack.com. Of course, you could check out bcbacker.com for over 40 videos and 11 hours of content that teach you how to set up your own charts and indicators within TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. Ben Davenport says, Edward Lang, dude, you're a legend. Very generous. Otherwise, guys, happy Green Day. Bitcoin at $93,000, XRP at $2.25. Now we look for things to keep on shifting along. You remember the road to recovery and the wall of worry is not typically in a straight line. Of course, we'll take it, but there's typically a lot of chop to get there. I think we're gonna have a lot of that chop to work our way up there. But we had all the divergences pointing to the lows being in, and it looks like we confirmed it here in these last 12 to 24 hours. So good stuff happening there in the market. I'm going to leave you guys with the frog while the frog's playing. If you guys could hit the like button, I'd appreciate it.
It is Wednesday, my It is Wednesday,
Alrighty. That are it. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for being here. Sorry for the stream cutting off last week. Looks like we're going to get out of this one without it cutting off. And thank you guys. Happy green days out there. That's it for this one. Thank you. And yeah, by the way, it's been a long time since we've been able to do a markets in the morning with green. Dude. Holy cow. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor, but if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.